Hey, Cosmic Crew! Welcome back to Saturn Made Me Do It. I'm Nina, your host, your fellow creative wanderer, and somebody who truly believes that self-expression is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. And today, we are diving deep into the power of creative expression. Creativity has been at the center of my journey, not just as a career move, but as a way to understand myself, to process life, and to communicate with the world in a way that words alone sometimes can't. If you've ever felt like creating, whether that's writing, painting, dancing, styling, singing, whatever, is more than just a hobby, but a lifeline, then this episode is for you. So, grab your tea, coffee, matcha, whatever fuels your soul, and let's get into it. So let's start here. Why does creativity feel so essential? Why is it that when we're creating, we feel the most ourselves? For me, creativity has always been how I make sense of the world. Growing up, I was always writing, daydreaming, drawing in the margins of my notebooks, and before I even had the words to articulate my emotions, I was expressing them through movement, colors, and storytelling. Growing up as a kid, my parents didn't really have a lot of money like that, so I often really just turned to my creativity to escape into a reality where life was just limitless, like while other kids could afford to go to, Caribbean or even a trip to Florida, carefree, to like ride all the rides, fast pass, you name it. I really anchored myself in creativity. Like it was the one thing in my life constantly where I could really develop a world that didn't mimic my own and where I could fully express myself because I finally had the tools to be who I wanted to be, even if my physical reality had implemented some limitations. And so in an interesting way, I always thought, well, I may not be able to go on that fancy trip like all my classmates get to, but I can write about it. I can envision it. Hell, I can even pretend I'm there by refining my little acting skills as a kid. And then if I wasn't really, in the mood to be an actress, a future Oscar winner, an award-winning journalist, a great American novelist, that maybe I could just paint or draw the world I want to exist in. Maybe in that moment, I can just put that visualization into a beautiful painting to hang up in my room and always refer back to. When I was a kid, I also used to think about the adult I would want to become, what she would be like all the time. And so I'd always write about her, and I'd always, I'd always think like, oh my God, she must have like really beautiful clothes. She must have a really big, kind group of friends. And, she must be so happy she gets to travel all the time. Mind you, this is when I was a kid. I would literally I would cut out pictures out of like Vogue magazine and put it together on my little, what I would later learn is a mood board / a vision board in certain cases. And I would just picture what life would be like down the road when I would be all grown up and I get to do however I please. And it's kind of funny now as I'm talking about it on the podcast, like as a kid, I would do this throughout my childhood and even into my adulthood still. And it all weirdly does come true. So I think, our childhood selves and our creativity lend a little nudge about who we become in the future and how excited we are to become those people. And then adulthood happens, and we're taught that creativity is a luxury, that it's something we do on the side, that real jobs don't involve dreaming or making art. But that's where Saturn comes in, because when my Saturn return hit, I realized that ignoring my creativity was the equivalent of ignoring who I am at my core. Creativity isn't just about making things. It's about discovering ourselves. All right, let's talk about the real stuff. How creativity actually became my way of understanding myself. because it wasn't always this clear cut for me. There was a time when I didn't embrace my creativity fully. I thought I had to fit into the box of a, quote, serious professional, that I had to follow the conventional path. And every time I suppressed my creativity, I felt a little less alive. But once I let myself create freely again, without the pressure of it needing to be perfect or monetized or successful, I started to uncover parts of myself I had buried. Writing helped me process emotions I didn't even realize I had bottled up. Fashion and styling became my way of expressing my confidence when words failed me. Storytelling, in all of its forms, reminded me of my own resilience, my vision, my voice. I felt like being in a restricted and, quote, serious profession, unquote, that they were so hell-bent on trying to get me to fit into this goddamn box that, mind you, while I was in the guidelines of professional attire, that heaven forbid I had like a red dress on, it was salacious, it was scandalous. It was like, picture like, I'm pretty much dressed like Joan from Mad Men. Like everything that needs to be covered is covered, but it's still serving. You know what I mean? Like it's a serve. Or another example could be just like anything you see in like Devil Wears Prada. Like they're still dressed very like modest and professional, but it's giving a certain word that I'm not even sure I'm allowed to say because the streaming services, I'm like, oh, this is family friendly. But you know the word. It's giving see you next Tuesday. And I realized like when you would catch flack in that in some parts of the like corporate or finance industry or like whatever office industry that loves to say like, how dare you serve see you next Tuesday? And you just take pieces. It's like every little jab is like a little piece they take away from you. I found myself asking myself like, are you really worth it just for your 30 seconds of joy of telling me that you can't serve see you next Tuesday the same way I can in this blazer? And then I realized when I just tried to fit into this box that I wasn't writing that much. I wasn't like free writing. I wasn't just imagining things like I had as a kid. I used that as a crux to figure out how do I convey how I'm feeling when I am trying to find the words for it. And like when I'm not writing at all, I'm like 1,000 times more anxious in my head. I start like overthinking more. So here I am trying to be kind of like this, again, quotes around serious professional and trying to like weirdly fit into this profession that I knew needed to be experienced and I wanted because I wanted to take my life to the next level, but it was weirdly coming at that sacrifice, right? Like, oh my God. So now I'm trying to be really good at this thing. I'm also trying to like balance the other craziness that came along with it. So I just didn't have time for the things that really made me me. I didn't have time to write. I didn't help my mental health, I'll tell you that, because now we're like anxious and overthinking and there's no outlet to release it, to like process why I was overthinking, why I was anxious, and like why I didn't feel good. And then my self-expression, which is typically found through clothes and styling, that I really like believe that when you look good, you feel good, and when you feel good, you sound good, and when you sound good, the money just flows. You know what I mean? And you just perform better across the board, personal and professional. And then storytelling, right? Because that can, again, it can look very different and it depending on what you like. So I wasn't having any time to write. I was getting dinged on like how I was presenting, even though it was pretty appropriate. And I would ask people, trust me, I'm not just like self-assessing. I'm like, y'all vibe check, like, is this inappropriate or were they just mad it was a serve? And 9 times out of 10, it's like they're mad because you're serving. Then I just want to have time to like paint. Like, and it's interesting because I think about this one piece of advice that my uncle actually gave me that I really do hold to heart, and I think everyone would benefit from too, is that he told me that when he was like a first year associate at his law firm, he made it a point to actually devote 30 minutes of his time before he went to bed doing any type of creative endeavor. He was like, you need to do something for you 30 minutes after you just completed an assignment. Like, you should not be closing your laptop and going straight to bed. Like, that's like a fast track to Depression City. So he would like stay up. He's like, I don't care if you lose sleep. You need to do this for you. And so he would stay up and like play the piano or like strum his guitar or whatever that outlet looked like at that point in time. He was a very musical man. So he would just do that. And I just wasn't doing that. And that's really scary. And you don't realize how much of yourself you really lose over time by denying yourself those 30 minutes. So, in essence, creativity became the mirror that showed me who I really was. And let me tell you, when you meet yourself in that way, it's transformative. So, we talked about how creativity helps you with your identity, how it also helps you discover who the hell you are. But let's talk about the fear that comes with creative expression. Because I know someone is listening right now thinking, okay, but what if my work isn't good enough? What if people judge me? What if I fail? Woo! Trust me, I've been there. Putting your creativity out into the world feels like standing naked in front of a crowd sometimes. It's vulnerable, it's scary, but you know what? It's also brave. I had to remind myself that, 1, creativity is personal. You don't have to create for everyone. If it matters to you, it's worth making. Let me repeat that. You don't have to create for everyone. If it matters to you, it's worth making. Secondly, not everyone will get it, and that's okay. Your art, your style, your voice, it's not supposed to be for everyone, boo. And there's power in that one. Third, the act of creating is already a success. Even if no one sees it, even if it doesn't become a bestseller or go viral, the act of making something is valuable in itself. Now, I just want to take a quick pause and recognize that I do bump into people quite frequently that are often terrified at this point, right? They don't want to share their work with the world, fear of judgment, fear of criticism. But as I just stated, those 3 points, you have to tell yourself that, because I'll be honest, no one that's ever done any cool-ish is talking smack about you or having anything negative to say about you. Let's be so real. I've never heard a valid critique from someone that has either lived the life I want or done the thing I'm aspiring to do. No one that's done it is going to criticize you. It is very different than the official artist critique that's supposed to be very productive and it's supposed to help you and it's not attacking. But no one, you just got to tell yourself real-ish. I've never encountered someone who has taken a crack at that thing and been you know what I mean? It's always someone who's never taken a crack at it, never even picked up a paintbrush, never has hit record and attempted to make content, never has put their first draft out there that has been a productive comment. They're usually just mad that you're out here doing the damn thing. So do the damn thing, So I know it's so scary. And I totally get you, right? Because I was scared to put my content out there in terms of content creation in video format. And because I knew people from high school, extended family, old coworkers, they're all going to see it at some point. That's just how the apps work. But who cares what they think? they haven't done this. You're doing it right now. Pat yourself on the back. Pour yourself a drink. Like, you're doing the damn thing. You should celebrate that. I will also add that eventually that does subside. I will say, like, in the beginning, I think it took a couple of videos for me to really, because I just remember just like staring in front of the camera and being so terrified. And you just have to work through it, is the honest remedy to it. It's like the more reps you do, it's like going to the gym, right? You go, you're not going to be good at it. You're going to be out of breath. It's going to be hard. But you keep going because you pick up that dumbbell. It's heavy. You're like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm looking stupid. I'm checking my phone, making sure my form is giving what it's supposed to. Pretty sure I'm still looking silly, but I'm still going to do this every day. I'm going to show up and I'm going to do this every day for myself because that's what matters. And eventually when you do it, the more reps you do, the easier it gets. So there is no quick fix. You just have to keep showing up. That's how you get over your fear. So if you're someone who's waiting to share your work, let me be the one to tell you. The world needs what only you can create. Something I've also come to realize is that creativity is also deeply healing. It's a way of processing pain, of celebrating joy, of moving through grief, of reclaiming our stories. Whether it's journaling, painting, music, dance, art moves us. It connects us. And it has this incredible way of revealing truths we didn't know we needed to face. For me, writing has been therapy. Fashion has been armor. Storytelling has been my way of taking power back. And I know for so many of you, your creative practice is what keeps you going too. So if you're feeling disconnected lately, and if you've been stuck in your head, create something. Even if it's messy, even if no one else sees it, just create. You'll be surprised by what you find. So what happens when we fully embrace our creative expression? Well, A, we become more ourselves. We stop hiding parts of who we are. B, we connect with others in meaningful ways. Our creativity creates community. I can't tell you how happy it makes me that even though I'm so far from being established and I'm just getting started with the podcast and Ormy's Collective and raising my arts fund, how much joy it brings me when I hear one of you say to me, whether it's in person, whether it's a voice note, whether it's an email, a DM, it brings me a lot of joy, and it makes me so happy when I hear you guys say, you inspired me to start painting again. You motivated me to just put myself out there. You helped me believe that anything is possible. You just have to try. I can't tell you how beautiful that is. I know, like I said, I just started, but I don't think it'll ever get old. I think it really is such a gorgeous, rewarding thing to hear, to be able to do, and to watch you be in touch with who you are really meant to be is so satisfying as your cosmic friend. All right, we don't have time to listen to me cry on the podcast, so we're going to go to, where are we? C? And C, we find purpose and joy because we're no longer suppressing the thing that makes us feel alive. And that's why I'm so passionate about building spaces like Ormy's Collective, because creativity deserves to be nurtured, celebrated, and shared. All right, my cosmic friends, that's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope this conversation reminds you that your creativity is valid, it's powerful, and it's needed in this world. If this episode spoke to you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who needs a little creative inspiration. And don't forget to connect with me on social media. I love hearing from you. Next week, we're diving into the role of community and creativity because while self-expression is powerful, having a creative support system makes all the difference. Until next time, keep creating, keep dreaming, and remember, Saturn made you do it.